blues has been art form of musical expression that was started from the slaves during the years of the slavery, and the slaves couldn't speak their tongue. If they was from wherever part of Africa, geographic area they was from, they couldn't speak their tongue. So to settle them down, they gave the slaves Old English hymns to sing, and because it was basically a crime to sing or to speak their language. So they said a lot of the slave masters said, we have to use some psychology. You got to let them sing. They like to express themselves. So they gave them Old English hymns. Old English hymns is probably, believe it or not, the beginning of what we know now is America's music. Rhythm and blues, R&B, pop, rock, funk, the whole genre. The slaves took the Old English hymns and they moaned some of the words, and the master would say, well, they're singing a song, but they're just elongating the notes. They're mm-hmm. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. And we can't do nothing to them. We got to let them sing it because they're not communicating in their tongue. So we can't punish them. They're singing, and they're putting different rhythms and different styles to these Old English hymns. So let's just leave them alone. So as time went on, the hymns turned into, the Old English hymns turned into what's called Negro spirituals, which in turn turned into the gospel, which in turn turned into blues. Oh yeah, I'm picking, working all day and work, and that, what John Lee Hooker done, what we call licks. And in music, you always have an intro, you always have a statement, you always have a verse. And what he would do, he put on like boom, boom. And what that was to set up the rhythm. And as he got into the song, basically, that was the only basic musical changes in the song. So they take them African rhythms because they had them melodies and counter melodies, and they came up with that boogie thing. And it's hypnotic because there's no musical changes in this. It's only one chord, and that's an E, an open E. And it's used as the country musicians of today and country blues artists of today use. And it's... And then they break it with a counter melody with. Oh yeah. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in that grave.
In most of these songs, you'll hear freedom. As I said, that was a theme, and it took a variety of contexts and a variety of roots. Some of you know the stories of the slaves singing in these various places in what they call the underground church, or the church out the Brush Harbor, sometimes they were referred to. They had to use words that would not cause the slave master to become suspicious of what they were doing, otherwise they'd be in real trouble. So they were very, very inventive in terms of using words that sounded acceptable in terms of some other context, but they were often singing about where they actually were at that time. The master, can you imagine sitting and listening to his slaves out there singing, and they felt real comfortable and real happy because, stealing away, they thought they were talking about heaven, something that they believed in would occur when they died. And of course, what they were singing about, and particularly the song is well known, is an actual song that said, hey, we're out of here. Harriet Tubman, somebody is out there waiting for us, and we are gone.
You probably heard of Harriet Tubman. She used to run the Underground Railroad. She would use certain lyrical messages in their songs, like the moon gonna shine by the north tree tonight, the moon gonna, or the crocodile's gonna swim across the Mississippi at 12. So these would be little actual information messages that one would use to escape. If they can escape and during the day when they pick a cotton, they singing, the moon gonna shine all night by the left. Well, that means that, you go down, whoever gonna be escaping or who's gonna meet Harriet Tubman, they would go down and they would say, You know, they would sing that, and that would be a message saying, this is where we're going to meet. This is so. Blues, in the black community, has always been a form of rebellion, a form of message, again, in a musical or rhythmatic sense. Rhythms is probably still to this day the last existing style of African music that's still in our music, and again, the rockers and everybody use it.
And be free.
The whole notion of a guitar playing by itself and creating the music, it was a rhythm thing more than it was a chord thing. I mean, what they were using with the chords was very simple. My mother was fortunate enough to be raised by a guy. They call him Uncle Reuben. He was like 6 years old doing slavery, and he used to hear the slaves singing, and he said that's almost just like he would hear Johnny Hook, and he would say, this is in the 40s. She said he was still living. He would say, this is the rhythm that we would hear in the fields, and it was like, oh yeah.
Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Surely been puked and surely been scorned. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. But still my soul is freedom born. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. If you don't know I've been redeemed, thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last.